This is ShadowQuant, Stocks, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Thursday, April 9, 2026, and this is the After Hours session. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with the recap. Pulse, your call on QQQ was bullish, target $609.90. The market was flat. Verdict, inconclusive. I called it, but the market didn't move. I'll take it as a neutral. Grid, you also called bullish on QQQ, target $612. The market was flat. Verdict, inconclusive.
I'll relook my logic. I might have overemphasized the 10-day high.
CIPHER, you called bullish on QQQ, target $612. The market was flat. Verdict, inconclusive.
I'll reevaluate. I think I missed the market's hesitation.
SPECTER, your call was bearish on QQQ, target $598.50. The market was flat. Verdict, inconclusive.
I'll be more precise next time. I was too aggressive.
Apex, you called bullish on QQQ, target $609.90. The market was flat. Verdict, inconclusive.
I'll stick with the momentum, but I'll be more cautious with the timing.
Let's set the table. The broader equity market is holding up, with SPY at $676.01, up 2.55%. QQQ is at $606.09, up 2.97%. The energy sector is under pressure, with the energy sector down 3.51%. Tech is strong, with the technology sector up 3.1%. Sentiment is neutral, with a fear and greed score of 62. The VIX is at 25.78, suggesting elevated volatility. The yield curve remains normal, with 10-year 2-year at plus 0.5 basis points. Volume is strong in SPY and QQQ, but moderate in IWM and diamonds. Let's start with the market's macro context. SPECTER, how do you read the VIX and the yield curve?
The VIX is at 25.78, which is elevated but not yet in overbought territory. It suggests the market is still cautious, but not panicking. The yield curve is flat, which is normal but not a strong growth signal. The market is in a state of mixed risk appetite.
Pulse, what's your take on sentiment? The fear and greed index is at 62, which is neutral. The put/call ratio is at 0.85, slightly skewed toward calls. The market is in a state of cautious optimism. Grid, what's your technical read on SPY and QQQ?
SPY is at $676.01, just $1.07 below its 10-day high of $677.08. The 50-day moving average is at $663.42, a key support level. QQQ is at $606.09, 3.81 below its 10-day high of $609.90. The 50-day moving average is at $593.11. Both are in a strong technical position, but the VIX is a risk factor.
CIPHER, what's the earnings story?
The tech sector is leading, with the technology sector up 3.1% today. Earnings momentum is strong, especially with UCAR surging 331.63% on a product launch. The upcoming earnings from Tesla, Amazon, and MSFT are key catalysts. The market is rotating into growth sectors, not just holding defensive positions.
Apex, how do you synthesize this?
The market is in a high-energy phase, with strong momentum in tech and industrial sectors. The technicals are solid, the earnings are positive, and the sentiment is cautiously optimistic. But the elevated VIX suggests that the market is still vulnerable to a pullback.
Let's talk about QQQ. It's at $606.09, up 2.97%.
The 10-day high is at $609.90, a key resistance level. A close above that would confirm a breakout. The 50-day moving average is at $593.11, a key support level. Volume is strong, supporting the move.
The earnings momentum in tech is strong, and the upcoming earnings from Tesla, Amazon, and MSFT are likely to drive further gains. The 10-day high of $609.90 is a critical level.
The put/call ratio is at 0.85, slightly skewed toward calls, suggesting cautious optimism.
I'm not convinced. The VIX is still elevated at 25.78 and the market is overextended. A pullback is likely.
Let's move to SPY. It's at $676.01, up 2.55%.
SPY is just $1.07 below its 10-day high of $677.08. The 50-day moving average is at $663.42, a key support level.
The broad-based equity rally is led by tech and industrial sectors. The volume is strong at 125.4
The sentiment is neutral, but the volume suggests institutional buying.
The market is overextended. A pullback to the 50-day moving average of $663.42 is likely.
Let's move to the technology sector. It's at $141.69, up 3.1%.
The 10-day high is at $143.20, a key resistance level. The 50-day moving average is at $137.45, a key support level.
The tech sector is leading the charge, with strong earnings momentum. The 10-day high of $143.20 is a critical level.
The sentiment is positive, with a slight tilt toward calls.
The market is overbought and a pullback is imminent.
Grid flagged the 10-day high in QQQ and CIPHER showed the earnings momentum. But SPECTER warned that the VIX is still elevated, suggesting the market is overextended. The technicals are strong, the earnings are positive, and the sentiment is cautiously optimistic. But the elevated VIX suggests a potential pullback.
SPECTER, you pushed back on Grid read on QQQ. Let's dig into that.
Grid said QQQ is approaching its 10-day high of $609.90, which is a key resistance level. But the VIX is still at 25.78, which suggests the market is still in a state of caution. The volume is high, but not necessarily indicative of long-term conviction.
The volume is strong and the technicals are in line with a breakout. The 10-day high is a key level. The market is showing resilience despite the volatility.
I'm not convinced. The VIX is still elevated and the market is overextended. A pullback to the 50-day moving average is likely.
The put/call ratio is at 0.85, slightly skewed toward calls. The sentiment is cautiously optimistic. My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $612 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $612 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $615 by next session.
My 24-hour call, SPY bearish, target $665 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish, target $615 by next session.
The market is in a high-energy phase, with strong momentum in tech and industrial sectors. The technicals are solid, the earnings are positive, and the sentiment is cautiously optimistic. But the elevated VIX suggests that the market is still vulnerable to a pullback. Watch for the 10-day high in QQQ and the 50-day moving average in SPY. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Equities. Stay tuned for the Tokyo session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.